Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went in there? Maybe you've misplaced your glasses again, only to find them sitting right on top of your head. Or perhaps names that used to come easily are now just on the tip of your tongue. If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. As we get older, little memory slips like these can become more common, and they can also feel pretty frustrating. But here's the thing, some of these changes aren't just part of aging. In fact, some of them could be caused by what's on your plate. That's right, what you eat can have a huge impact on how well your brain works. And after 60, your brain becomes even more sensitive to the foods you consume. Certain ingredients, ones that might seem harmless or even healthy, could be quietly working against you, chipping away at your memory and focus, little by little, day after day. In today's video, we're going to talk about 4 foods that could be slowly damaging your memory, especially after 60. And we're not just here to point fingers, we're also going to talk about what you can do instead, because it's never too late to protect your brain and keep your mind sharp. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's chat. Let's start with something that sneaks into a lot of meals without us even realizing it: processed meats. Think deli slices, sausages, bacon, and even those seemingly innocent hot dogs at summer barbecues. These are convenient, they taste good, and they've probably been a part of your life for years. But here's the truth. Processed meats are often packed with preservatives like nitrites and nitrates, which are used to make them last longer and keep that nice color. The problem is, these chemicals can trigger inflammation in the body, including the brain. And inflammation in the brain. That's one of the big culprits behind memory loss and cognitive decline. It can interfere with the way brain cells communicate, slow down mental processing, and even contribute to conditions like dementia over time. Some studies have even linked regular consumption of processed meats to a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't eat that much bacon, and that's a good start. But take a look at your weekly meals: sandwiches from the deli, frozen meals with sausage, or quick snacks with meat sticks or jerky. It adds up quickly. The good news is, there are better choices out there. Try switching to fresh, unprocessed meats like chicken breast, turkey, or lean cuts of beef. Or even better, explore plant-based proteins like lentils, beans, or tofu every now and then. Not only are they brain-friendly, but they're also great for your heart and overall energy. Now, let's talk about something a bit sneakier: refined sugars. You know the ones. The sugar in cakes, cookies, sodas, and even in some yogurts and breakfast cereals. We all know sugar isn't great for our waistlines, but its effects on the brain are just as concerning, maybe even more so. Here's how it works. When you eat a lot of sugar, your body releases insulin to help manage your blood sugar levels. But over time, especially if sugar is a regular part of your diet, your cells become less responsive to insulin. This condition, called insulin resistance, has been linked to a higher risk of memory loss and even Alzheimer's. Some researchers even refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes, because of how closely it's connected to blood sugar problems. Too much sugar can also cause your brain to produce fewer brain-derived neurotrophic factors, basically, a protein that helps your brain cells grow and stay healthy. Without enough of it, your brain's ability to learn new things or retain memories starts to decline. That's why a sugar-heavy diet can leave you feeling foggy, sluggish, and forgetful. Now, I get it. Sugar is comforting. It's in those little treats we've loved for years: desserts after dinner, that sweet cup of tea in the afternoon, or the occasional indulgence at a family gathering. You don't need to cut sugar out entirely to protect your memory, but being more mindful about how often you're having it, and where it's hiding, can make a world of difference. Start reading labels on packaged foods. You'd be surprised at how many healthy snacks or low-fat items sneak in added sugar. Swap out soda for water infused with lemon or berries. Try fresh fruit when you're craving something sweet. Even a square of dark chocolate is a smarter option than processed pastries loaded with sugar and artificial additives. And if you've got a bit of a sweet tooth, don't beat yourself up. You're not alone. But making small changes, like cutting back just one sugary snack a day, can have a big impact on your brain health over time. So far, we've looked at processed meats and refined sugars, 2 common parts of the average diet that might be doing more harm than good, especially to your memory. These changes might seem small, but they're powerful. And the best part is, you're in control. You can start making brain-healthy choices right now, one bite at a time. Let's keep going, because there's another food culprit that often hides in plain sight, and it might just be something you reach for every morning. And that's margarine. Yep, that tub in your fridge that promises to be heart-healthy or low in cholesterol could actually be doing a number on your brain. You see, many margarines and similar spreads are made with hydrogenated oils, which are a source of trans fats. And trans fats? They're not just bad for your heart, they've also been linked to poorer memory, slower thinking, and a higher risk of cognitive decline, especially as we age. Now, most of us grew up in an era when margarine was marketed as the better alternative to butter. We were told it was the smarter choice for cholesterol and heart health. But now we know more, and what we've learned is that trans fats increase inflammation in the body, contribute to plaque buildup in the arteries, and disrupt the normal function of your brain cells. And the effects aren't just long-term. Some studies have shown that people who consume higher amounts of trans fats tend to score lower on memory tests, even at younger ages. That's right, these fats can cloud your thinking, affect your recall, and reduce your ability to process information clearly. And the older we get, the more vulnerable our brains become to that kind of damage. But don't worry, there are better options out there. If you like spreading something on your toast in the morning, try natural alternatives like avocado, nut butters, or even a small amount of real butter from grass-fed cows. Olive oil is another excellent brain-friendly fat, perfect for drizzling over vegetables or dipping bread. These options are rich in healthy fats that support brain function instead of harming it. Now you might be thinking, I only use a little bit, or I've been eating margarine for years. That's totally understandable. But even small, consistent amounts can add up over time, especially when combined with other inflammatory foods. The key here isn't to feel guilty, it's to feel empowered. Because now you know, and now you can choose better. And speaking of things we've been doing for years, let's talk about one more sneaky culprit, alcohol. Now, before you raise your eyebrows, I'm not here to say you have to give up your evening glass of wine or your weekend cocktail. But it's important to understand how alcohol can affect your memory, especially after 60. You see, our bodies process alcohol differently as we get older. What might have been just a glass of wine 20 years ago now has a stronger impact on the brain and body. Alcohol is a depressant, which means it slows down brain activity. And while a little might help you relax or wind down, too much can interfere with the communication between brain cells. Over time, regular alcohol consumption, even at moderate levels, can start to shrink areas of the brain that are crucial for memory and decision-making. It can also reduce your brain's ability to form new memories, especially if you're drinking several times a week. And unfortunately, the damage isn't always reversible. In fact, long-term alcohol use has been linked to a condition called alcohol-related dementia, which is exactly as serious as it sounds. Again, this isn't about cutting alcohol out of your life completely unless that's something you want to do. But it's worth being mindful. Ask yourself, how often am I drinking? Am I using alcohol to cope with stress, boredom, or loneliness? Would I feel better with just one drink instead of two? If you're looking for alternatives, try sparkling water with lemon or lime, a non-alcoholic wine or beer, or a warm herbal tea to help you unwind. Many people find that when they cut back on alcohol, they sleep better, think more clearly, and feel more energized during the day. That's your brain saying thank you. So, we've covered a lot already. Processed meats, refined sugars, margarine, and alcohol. 4 everyday items that many of us have grown up with, relied on, or simply never thought twice about. But once we start to look at how these foods affect our memory and brain health, it becomes easier to understand why certain changes can make such a big difference. And the best part is, you don't have to overhaul your entire life. It's not about perfection. It's about small, intentional shifts that give your brain what it needs to stay sharp, focused, and vibrant. Even cutting back just a little, swapping out one habit at a time, or adding more brain-friendly foods into your routine can be incredibly powerful. So the next time you're grocery shopping or preparing a meal, think about what your brain might be craving instead. Is it a handful of blueberries instead of a sugary dessert? Maybe it's grilled salmon instead of deli meat. Or maybe it's just taking a moment to slow down and ask, how will this make me feel, not just now, but in the long run? You've got more power than you think, and the choices you make today really can shape how you think and feel tomorrow. The brain is a miraculous organ, and it's never too late to support it. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, your mind deserves care, attention, and a little love from the inside out. Now let's keep going, because there's one more key piece of this puzzle that we need to talk about. It might be something that's been sitting in your kitchen for years, and while it's often seen as harmless, it could be quietly affecting your memory more than you realize. White bread. Or more broadly, refined carbohydrates like white rice, pasta made from white flour, pastries, and many packaged snacks. These foods are so common that we often don't even think about them. They're just a normal part of meals. But what happens after we eat them? That's where things get interesting, and a little concerning when it comes to memory and brain health. Refined carbs are quickly broken down into sugar in the body. That's why eating a sandwich on white bread can have a similar impact on your blood sugar as eating a candy bar. And just like we talked about earlier with sugar, those quick spikes and crashes in blood sugar levels can be rough on your brain. Over time, they can dull your thinking, make it harder to concentrate, and contribute to long-term memory problems. Now, here's something a lot of people don't realize. Your brain runs on glucose. That's a form of sugar your body makes from carbohydrates. But it needs a steady, balanced supply, not those big spikes followed by energy crashes. When you rely heavily on refined carbs, your brain gets flooded with energy 1 minute and starved the next. It's kind of like trying to read a book while someone keeps flipping the lights on and off. Not very helpful, right? Plus, many refined carbs are stripped of the fiber, vitamins, and minerals your brain actually needs. They fill you up but leave your brain running on empty. That's why a breakfast of sugary cereal or a white bagel might leave you feeling tired, distracted, or foggy by mid-morning. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up carbs completely. Just choose better ones. Whole grains like oatmeal, brown rice, and whole wheat bread are digested more slowly, which helps keep your blood sugar and your brain more stable. Sweet potatoes, quinoa, barley, and even beans can be wonderful choices that keep your energy steady and your mind clear. One small change, like swapping out white toast for whole grain in the morning, can start to shift your entire day. And over time, those little adjustments can add up to clearer thinking, better recall, and sharper memory. Now, let's take a moment to pull all of this together. We've talked about 4 big foods that, when eaten regularly, can slowly chip away at your memory. Processed meats, refined sugars, margarine and trans fats, alcohol, and now refined carbs. Each one might not seem like a big deal on its own. But when you add them up, especially over months and years, they can quietly but powerfully affect the way your brain functions. And I want to pause here and say something important. This is not about fear. It's not about guilt. It's about awareness. Once you know how something is affecting your body and your mind, you have the power to do something about it. That's the beauty of it. Even if these foods have been part of your routine for decades, your brain can still respond to positive changes. The human brain is incredibly adaptable. Even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, it's never too late to support it and help it work better. So what can you do today? Just start small. Maybe pick one food you want to cut back on, or one healthy swap you want to try. Maybe it's drinking more water instead of soda. Or maybe it's trying grilled chicken instead of deli meat. Maybe you'll experiment with a hearty grain bowl instead of white rice. You don't have to change everything at once. You just have to take the first step. And while you're at it, take time to enjoy the process. Explore new recipes, try new flavors, and treat your meals as a form of self-care. Because when you nourish your body with foods that support your brain, you're not just feeding yourself. You're investing in your future, your independence, and your ability to stay sharp, connected, and full of life. You deserve that. You deserve to feel clear-headed, confident, and capable. And the choices you make in the kitchen, no matter how small, can help you get there. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one food you're thinking about changing in your diet after watching this video? Or maybe you've already made a switch that's helped your memory. Share it with us. You never know who you might inspire. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips on staying healthy, vibrant, and full of energy at any age. We're all in this together, and your journey is worth celebrating. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. It's never too late to take care of your brain, your body, and your future. Here's to living your best life, sharp, strong, and full of clarity, every single day.